Oh, good evening. No countdown tonight. Welcome. This is Bakar Bey, your MC Mastermind Coach, and tonight you're tuning in to the S.E.A.R Mastermind Podcast. Let's get it. Good evening, and welcome. I'm here with my co-host, Majida Bey, your financial conductor. Take you on a wealth train. You got the catchphrase. Go ahead.
Majida Bey, your financial conductor, helping parents and professionals to get on the right financial track to success.
All right. So helping parents and professionals get on the right path to success.
That's a whole lot.
It is. And also, our co-founder of the S.E.A.R Mastermind Group, your support and accountability hub for creative entrepreneurs, Mr. Maurice Bey, a.k.a. the Helpful Trucker. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing excellent.
Outstanding. The lighting is good. The smiles are on. I'm excited to see you. Tonight, we got a great conversation. We're doing a part 2. Continuing to, our January, talking about, getting ready financially for a new year, for your new life, for your new lifestyle. And tonight we're going to be talking about not just what to do with your money. So that was part 1. Part 1, we talked about what to do with your money or new money when you get it, or how to get new money. Tonight we're going to talk about ways to create income with Majida and Maurice. And I'm looking forward to this conversation tonight with Majida because she's one of our local financial professional. Side note, I got a referral for you, so remind me when we get offline. She's helping everybody to get ahead financially. And Maurice,
no. Parents and professionals.
Parents and professionals. If you're a parent or a professional, she can help you. If not, you might have to have some children or something. I don't know. But or get you a professional career.
It does encompass quite a few people, right?
Yeah.
They just seem to be most receptive to me when I'm speaking. Parents and professionals, right? My message resonates with them a little bit more.
I love it.
You're not a professional and you're not a parent.
What are you? No, that's cool. So tonight we got a couple of great things, but I just want to start off celebrating some wins. Some wins this week. What is some good news? Some things that you guys succeeded with? Hey, there's the cute baby.
I thought you was gonna pop it off. I thought you was gonna pop it off. Go for it. Keep it flowing.
I would love to. All right, so I have some wins this week, man. I've been working hard, grinding, and putting together my coaching business plan. So excited to say I have a 80%. It's actually like 94, but 80%, because that was my goal, get to 80% of my coaching business plan, and actually getting to 80% really has helped me to begin to move things forward this week. So I'm excited about completing that piece. Check that off the box and get to move y'all. Hello, Fada. Welcome to the conversation. Oh, by the way, if you're on Facebook or you're watching on any of our channels, make sure that you like, tag, share, get the word out. We want to make sure that those creative entrepreneurs in your circles, for those who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, or even not yet apreneur, right? We're here for you. All right, Islam, and welcome. So yeah, that's my big win for the week. Have some testing and new clients. Had a tutoring client in England this week that popped up out of the blue, man. So we're going worldwide with it. I'm loving it. How about you, Maurice? Who wants to go first or next?
I think the Kira wants to go. Nzinga wants to go next. You got some wins this week, Nzinga?
She said Maurice. She showed up on the podcast. we can hear you. We can hear you, baby. Man, I love it. I think she's saying call me.
I was gonna let Majida go, being that her and Nzinga is clouding up the audios right now.
All right.
Well, so good, my win this week was I did get some some, I call it broadcasts, but some emails scheduled to go out. Last year, I invested in a coaching program, and we did quite a few events. So I'm just working right now on nurturing that audience. So I had like 140 emails go out this morning. In a couple days, I'm gonna have another series of emails go out. In a few days after that, I'll have some more emails. So I got that done. And outside of that, what other wins? Oh, my house. I shared this with y'all, I think, the other day, but today my house was listed on the Norfolk Housing Development website for Section 8. So looking to get that rented out by the 1st of February. And
all right.
Yeah. Whatever she said.
All right. Outstanding. Congratulations, man. Building those assets. We're gonna touch on that tonight as well. All right, Maurice. Let's hear the news.
I don't have no huge news like that, bro. It was, you know what I mean?
That's all relative. That's what Einstein would say. Come on.
Yeah, I don't really have no huge news. I had a lot going on this week. I had to create a lot of stuff. I had to produce a lot of stuff. Well, you know, work is always strenuous. I always get long hours work. So I didn't have a smooth week this week at work. You know, some weeks at work is just smooth. Everything seems to fall into place. And other weeks are less smooth. And then you have other weeks that are not smooth, but you still push through and get the job done. That's kind of the week that I had this week. It wasn't smooth at all, but I got everything done that I needed to get done. And relate. Then as far as the brand, the Helpful Trucker brand, got several videos uploaded to my YouTube channel this week, about 4 of them. I launched my community, my new community, the Helpful Trucker community, this week.
Yes,
I launched it, actually.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I launched it today. You know, we'll see. I hit the launch button, or I hit the live button in the group, and then I sent out a few emails. I think I sent out about 400 or 500 emails to my email list, and then I hit upload on the video promoting the membership, and then I went to sleep, and I just woke up, so I don't know what's going on inside of there right now. But I mean, it's gravy though, man. My schedule is pretty packed. I got a live schedule tomorrow morning with the recruiter, which is really big because most of my audience on my trucking channel, they're fairly new to trucking. So having a recruiter come in that can talk to them about jobs will be really good. I got a live schedule tomorrow. My audience already knows about it. And I got another live schedule. My first live schedule with my new group will be Sunday. And we're gonna be talking about. I'm doing a live Q&A to help people feel comfortable that have an upcoming CDL test. So I got a schedule of events already going on inside the group, and I hope when I click back into there, when I get off of here, that I got a few people that chose to come in today. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I needed this experience. So
outstanding. And you know what? For those who didn't catch it, so Maurice, the Helpful Trucker channel, has been going on for about what, 5 years now?
About 5 years, yeah.
About 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years. All right. Yeah. But he's launching his own community for truckers, and is launching today. Beta testing launching today for those who are looking to get into trucking. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today because, you know, part of the conversation is what are the things that you're investing in? What's worth investing in 2021? What are some ways to generate, you know, more revenue, more profits, more income, wherever you are? And I think that's huge, right? To start your own community. And I must say that you already have a community, and it's a way that you can monetize in order to help people to grow in a more focused and direct way. And the community is something that we definitely encourage and stress when it comes to growing, building, and of course, accountability in our business and what we do. So congratulations. I just want to highlight that, right?
Thank you, sir.
It may seem like something small to you because it's just the next thing on the list, but for those who are out there like, oh man, this guy started his own community, you know, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So
Appreciate
Kudos to you tonight. All right. So last time on the S.E.A.R podcast, we got together on New Year's Day and we discussed we had a conversation, all of us together, about what to do with extra money. I think you posed a question, right, Maurice?
I did, yeah.
You posed a question, and we didn't get to everything. We had a lot of engagement, so excited for those who are tuning in tonight. Andre, Fada, thank you for joining in. But we had a conversation about what is it that you do with extra money once you get it in, you know? And some of the highlights from that, looking here at my notes, is that so some of the highlights there were first you got to have a plan for it, right? You need to have a plan for what you want to do. Set your intention, and what is your plan for you remember that?
I do.
We talked about that a little bit last time. The other thing, I think Majida shared a great story about, first you got to have the mindset about generating more, right? A lot of people are still operating, just above broke, right? And so thinking that, they have just enough to get by. But you have to start thinking more abundantly and seeing what you have around you as valuable in order to be able to create and generate that additional streams of income and value that you can share with the world. So I think we had a great conversation last time, but we wanted to pivot today. And so I'll just pose the question. Well, actually, Maurice, I think you had a question this week specifically about this topic.
I actually didn't.
No?
I actually didn't. But what I was interested in doing is continuing in the same vein that you was talking about just now. Again, last week we kind of started off talking about the things to invest in, and you had kind of mentioned something along the lines of investing, I guess, at different levels. That's kind of the way that you put it. You're at the $2,000 level or the $5,000 level. What I kind of wanted to start off with tonight, or was hoping we could start the conversation off with, is starting off from the zero level, essentially. Okay, if you got money to invest, that's good, but there's a lot of people that don't have money to invest, and obviously those people would be looking for ways to generate extra money. So I was hoping that we could kind of start there and kind of work our way up.
Oh, perfect place to start. And I would, as a self-proclaimed foundations specialist, I'm looking forward to jumping into this conversation. But I'm going to pivot to our co-host over here, Miss Majida Bay, because she is our local financial expert. I want to say that in a different way, but I'm not going to get stuck on the word today. Our resident, that's the word I was looking for. Our resident financial expert and conductor. So you shared a story last time about starting really from zero, right? Not having anything extra. So I'm gonna come to you and share. What do you feel? What do you think? How do you start from zero? What do you just give us a little recap or maybe a story about how to start from zero when it comes to your finances.
So I'm sure you've heard the phrase, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. All right. So we start with the numbers, right? You got to look at what's coming in and what's going out and what's left over, if anything. Hopefully there's something left over, because you can't operate from a deficit month in and month out. That's just the recipe for disaster. So you have to start to even the scales, right? All right, if you're spending more than you're making, there's two things you can do. You can increase your income, or you can decrease your expenses, right? In my experience, I was spending just about everything I was making. So I found a way to decrease my expenses to free up the money so that I can start to save and invest. So that's just a matter of priority. You have to figure out what's more important to you. Is it more important for you to have a better financial future? Or is it more important for you to keep up with the Joneses or to live a lie, to give people the impression that you're doing better than you are? Or is it better for you to move in a better direction and get the help that you need? For me, I also needed to seek a coach, right? We're emotional about our money, right? Even though I work in the industry, I'm still emotional about my money. I'm conscious now, though, about when I'm spending emotionally, right? Like I'm not, yeah, it still applies to me. So I have a coach, right, who can help me be more objective about how I save and invest, right? So I'm still spend emotionally from time to time, but there's awareness around it. All right. And so you have to be aware of how you're spending and how it's impacting you, or how you're investing or not investing, and how is it impacting you. So I think it's clarity, awareness about where you are. And that's starting with the numbers, right? You got to get it on paper, on black and white, take a financial x-ray so that you can assess where you are. You can assess where you need to make adjustments. So that's what I would say. If you're starting at zero, or if you don't feel like there's anything left over, let's look at the numbers, because I've sat down with quite a few clients who don't feel like they have anything to save, but on paper, they got a few $100 left over, or maybe even a couple $1,000 left over after the expenses that they know of, right? But there's that emotional spending because the money's there, or there's that unconscious spending. And so my job is often to find the money, right? It's my job to find the money. It's going somewhere, but if you don't know where it's going, you got to figure that out and start to reallocate it so that it can start to work better for you and not just be going down the drain. So hope that answers the question.
Oh, it absolutely does. And me as a math numbers guy, I really appreciate that answer, man. Definitely have to go to the numbers. The numbers won't lie to you. All right. So you might lie to you. Your friends might lie to you. But when you go run the numbers, when you go to pay your tab at the end of the night at the bar, either you got it in your account or you don't. When you're trying to buy that fancy purse, either you got it or you don't. All right. So the numbers won't lie to you. I think that's a great place to start. So that, I think, builds the accountability, right? Some responsibility, building awareness, right? And I want to take a stab at the answer a little bit too. So when you start from zero, I think from a personal perspective, right? Because I think, Majida, you bring a lot of that practical wisdom. And I want to take it a little bit to the personal side, is you have to look at what value as an individual you're producing, right? And the way I look at it is that first you got to take inventory of what are your skills, right? So if you're working a job, right, everybody has time. That's the one resource everybody has access to. Everybody can give time. You can volunteer, right, and give your time away freely, right? And there's absolutely great and charitable causes in order to, that you can do that in. You can also trade your time for money. We're going to talk a little bit, I think, tonight about the cash flow quadrant, right? The first quadrant is being an employee, right? You're trading your time, because oftentimes they don't care about what your skills are or how good of a job you do in certain cases, right? There are more advanced jobs, but in a basic job, you're basically trading your time for money, right? You have some sort of skill set. So the first thing is taking inventory of what you have of value. One is time. Everybody wants your time. All right. You starting at zero. Hey, you got 24 hours in a day. How can you utilize that time in order to create something? All right. Or in order to exchange. That's what I was thinking about. In order to exchange for what you want. Right. Because every day it's an exchange. You give time and attention to the things that you want. You give time and attention to the things sometimes that maybe you don't want. Right. But you always have that choice and have that ability to do that. So starting with the numbers, you got to run the numbers. And the numbers I'm running every day is I got 24 hours. Right. That's the resource I start every day with. I have 24 hours. What time do I wake up? What do I do with that first hour? What do I do with that next hour? What do I do with my morning? What do I do with my afternoon? What do I do with my evening, right? How much rest am I getting? You have to take inventory of what resources and skills you have in place. So that's what I think for those who are starting from the ground floor. Run your numbers. You need to know where you stand financially. But also in what you're generating financially, take a look at what you're doing personally with your time and with value you're producing with that time. Maurice, it was your question, so I don't know if you have an answer per se, but Anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah, not really a question. You know, we just throwing out tidbits and stuff. So, Margita, can I share my screen?
Yeah, you should be able to.
I don't see a prompt to. I see Mike, Cam, Mike, chat, leave. Controls I see on here. Let me see. You tap the screen. No, nothing else came up when I tapped my screen. I got something I wanted to share. I don't have to pull it up, but I would like to pull it up because I took the time to create it. If you don't see it, then we can keep it moving.
It's on the desktop. I don't know if you. It's a desktop option.
I'm sitting here in front of my desktop right now, actually. So let me see if I can pull that up real quick.
I see it should be on the controls right at the bottom of the screen with your cam and.
Hang on 1 second.
I appreciate you guys hanging in there.
Yeah. If you want to, you can continue on. I'll be with you in just 1 second.
All right. So while he's working on getting that to share, so that's ground zero, right? You have to run your numbers. Run your numbers. I got 168 hours every week, 24 hours each day. All right. You got 60 minutes in each hour. And some people I know, like us educators, we're counting by the minute. All right. Like I got 30 minutes with these students. How am I going to keep their attention? Right. And that's how we're bringing value. So Margita, after you run your numbers, right? After you run your numbers and get an idea of what you have, whether you're operating at a deficit or you have a little extra left over, right? Tonight we want to talk about ways to create more on top of what you're doing. So the first quadrant I know is time. Time, people are trading time for income, for money. All right. You want to just briefly overview what are some of the other ways that you can generate, just a high level. We're not going to go too deep in them yet, but just explain a little bit more about the cash flow quadrant and different ways to generate money or generate income and profit.
Well, even before we get to that, I think it's important to know when you speak about your value, your skill set, you got to know yourself. And some coaching that I received a little over a year ago, the gentleman spoke about how there's something that you do that's unique, right? Or you do well that most people struggle with. So reflect on that, right? Reflect on what is it that you do well that most people struggle with. And then take that skill, whatever that may be. Maybe it's organization. Maybe it's collaboration. Maybe it's networking, right? Whatever that skill set is, you can take that and translate that or transfer that into something that can help generate or something that you can monetize, all right? So knowing yourself and knowing what skill sets you have to provide the marketplace, if you will, is I feel like the next step, right? Once you know the numbers, all right, what are my skill sets? What are my gifts? What are my talents? And how can I take that to the marketplace to add value to other people, to provide service to others? And in return, in exchange, people are willing to give me money for that. So
that is exactly what I want to dig into.
All right.
Yeah, likewise. That is definitely what was on my mind before getting on the call tonight. So perfect pivot. A perfect place to launch the conversation. Maurice, let's dive into it. You see, you got your shareable. Let's take a look.
Let me see. Right. I believe he's good here. Are we good? Can you see my screen?
Let's see. Not yet. There it is.
You can see my screen now?
Yes, sir. We are in 4D.
So you can see this right here? What's on
My
your
man
screen
went
right
together. He put together a whole PowerPoint for us tonight.
Not really. I definitely wouldn't call it a whole PowerPoint, man. But I did want to work on my deliverability of my ideas. I have been wanting to do that, right?
I love it.
Yeah. So definitely. So 6 things that I got jotted down here that I feel that an individual should consider when they are looking to what I call bring their ideas to life. Everybody has ideas. I know about a year or two ago, I was at the point that I had an idea, but I wasn't really sure how to bring it to life. So there's a lot of things you should consider. Everything that we're talking about so far is definitely things to consider. I jotted down 6 things that I believe everyone should consider as well. The first thing that I think you need to consider when you're looking at what to start, right? Where to start, what to put your time into, what side business or side hustle or whatever you want to call it to start is congruency with what you're already doing or what you are into doing. So one of the most difficult things for me to do a while ago was to go out and drive my truck in the daytime and then come home at nighttime and talk to people about my business, which was credit repair at the time. The 2 hats that I was wearing, in my opinion, were too far apart. Now, in Grant Cardone's book, Millionaire Booklet, one of his chapters, he talks about the basics of creating a second stream of income or creating another stream of income. And one thing he talks about is the congruency between the different streams of income that you're trying to create. One of the most difficult things to do is to get something else going when it's totally different from the first thing that you're doing. When in essence, you want to get something going where the second thing that you're doing is fed by the first thing, and the first thing that you do is fed by the second thing. But that can only be done if what you're putting together is congruent with what you already do, the work that you're already into, or your hobby, or the lifestyle that you already have. So I would say that whatever you look to get into, you need to make sure it's a good fit and a good match with your current lifestyle. Most of us already have jobs and families, so time is a factor as well. And that was a huge thing for me when my 2 things that I was doing was too far apart from each other. So one of the first things I think you should consider is congruency with what you're already doing or what you are already into.
Outstanding.
Another thing I definitely think you should, an individual should consider when looking at what to get into or what to start is what obstacles have you already overcome in your life? What struggles have you already overcome in your life? These when somebody, again, a year and a half ago, when my mentor, I remember telling him, I'm not sure if any of the experiences that I have are valuable or would be valuable to other people. And he's like, well, listen, think about what you've already been through. Think about some of the things that you've overcome. Have you overcome anything in your life that other people may be struggling with? And I'm like, well, I've been through a divorce before. And he's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's an experience that if you're dealing with it, there are other people that would love to know how you're dealing with it. I've dealt with the death of a loved one. I've dealt with a business closing. I've dealt with a lot of different things. And as I laid out these different experiences that I had for my mentor, he's like, all of these things are things that you could actually launch a side business based around because you have enough experience in that area. You're an automatic authority because you've already overcome this obstacle in your life. So I think that's kind of what Majid and Bakar were hitting at a minute ago. Leveraging not only the skills that you already have, but leveraging the experiences in life that you already have. A lot of us have experiences that are extremely valuable, and there are others that are in the world that are looking for tips and clues on how to overcome the same experiences that you've already figured out a way to try to overcome. Another thing that I believe you should consider is just simply looking at what would you like to get into, okay? Because the bottom line is you don't actually, and I'm gonna click to the next one. Actually, you don't actually have to be the expert. Pardon me for this one that I just now put up. I forgot to change it, but you don't actually have to be the expert. A lot of people feel that to start in something, I know that's how I felt. I felt like I had to be the expert, and so it led me to want to keep on studying and keep on digging and keep on researching until I felt like I had enough knowledge to go out and share with other people. But then I realized that you don't actually have to be the expert. You can be the reporter, or you can be the guide if you want to. Now, the reporter is not.
The conductor, she said.
The conductor.
The conductor, right? The guide is like the conductor. Exactly. The guide or the conductor points you in the direction of where to go. The reporter shares the story with you, but he's not an expert on the story. He's just sharing the story with you. And of course, if you're the expert, you can be the one that actually shares the story. But you can take either one of those approaches. You don't have to be the expert. You don't have to have more knowledge than anybody else. You just simply need to be on the path. And that's why I asked the question earlier, what have you overcome in your life? If you're on the path to losing 100 pounds, then you can tell another group of people, hey, I'm on the path to losing 100 pounds. If you want to join in with me, come on. Now you're not the expert. You're more or less like the guide. You're just on the path. So whatever journey you're on, you can take people along with you on that journey as you go. And consider becoming a trusted advisor in your space first. So here's the question. If you got a book that you want to sell, hypothetically, because I know a lot of people have a book inside of them that they've been dreaming about getting out. But again, it's like where to start, which way to go first. But if you got a book inside you or something to that effect that you would like to consider bringing to market one day, here's the question. Can you start building and finding an audience that would potentially be interested in your book once it's done? Can you start finding that audience right now? Can you start finding people that are interested in the subject matter of your book right now? In other words, can you start promoting the book before the book is even put together? And I would say yes. So whatever subject matter your book is going to help people with, whatever problem it's going to help people solve, you can actually go out on social media right now and you can start posting to that community of individuals that's already online looking for solutions to problems that fall in that realm. And what happens is once you start to help people overcome their problems and their situations, people start to trust you. And people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. So if you think that you're just going to create a product and bring it to market and people are just going to buy it just because it's a good product, that may not happen. Instead, you could start looking to help people right now, just looking to become a trusted source in your space. In other words, just help people out right now, right? You don't have to help them with the whole goal. You don't have to get them all the way through to the finish line. You just got to offer them something to help them get started. That's essentially how The Helpful Trucker, the brand on YouTube, started off. Essentially, I just started helping people with what I was familiar with, and eventually people started seeing me as more of an authority in that space. And I believe that once people start seeing you as an authority in your space, they will take your recommendations. Now, when you recommend that book to them, you got an audience of people that's listening because you've been out there helping people in that space all along. So I got some other stuff that I want to cover as well, but for now I will stop because I have been going for too long.
I was going to ask if you could leave that up. And
Did I stop sharing?
No, that's all right. You did stop sharing. But
Right.
Majida, what was out of those 6 keys? What was one that resonated with you?
I mean, I like the idea of what have you overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm come from a very practical, like, I can only tell you what I've done, right? Like, this is that's kind of the space that I operate from, even in what I do in business. It's like this worked for me, I believe it could work for you. So I've overcome some of those challenges when it comes to your mindset and managing money and things like that. So I just share that with other people,
Outstanding. And for me, Maurice, what really resonated was you said become what were the three sort of job titles that you had? Become a guide, a reporter,
a guide, or the expert. You can take
the expert. I like that. I like that. That one really resonated with me because I feel like I've definitely been on the guide journey for much of my life. Right. Do a little bit of reporting, but mostly, I'm willing to, if you're on the journey, I'm willing to take the journey with you. Right. And take you where I've been or take you along those different routes, show you what I know. And I was having a conversation with a friend recently and realized, man, I feel like one of my main purposes here in life is just to replace what I can do, right? Is just on the foundation level, just to be able to replace what I can do. So whatever gifts and talents and things that were built into me, like I want to institute somewhere here on earth where, you know, whatever that legacy is, whatever the gifts and whatever I was created to do, like remains here with those who can still utilize it and need it. So I think that's awesome. So what I heard from Maurice was, man, get started in what you like to do, right? That was another thing. Like, what do you like to do? What journey are you on, and what do you enjoy doing? And share that with people. Get started. That really resonated with me. Was like, get started, just start sharing it. Just start sharing it. You don't have to be the expert. You can just start telling people about it, and sort of building trust. And the way I tend to look at that is, you know, you have to show up at the market in order to share anything. So even if you're just showing up at the market and you don't have anything at the booth, you can talk to people. If nothing else, you can talk to people. And if you show up consistently in the marketplace, right, and you're just consistently talking to people, eventually people will get accustomed or get used to or get to grow to expect you to be there. If nothing else, they just expect you to show up there, right? And that can build a strong following. So, yeah. First is showing up in the market somewhere with what you do. I love that.
This is how you build trust. Again, people buy from trust is a huge factor, especially if you're looking to build something online. And showing up consistently is one of the ways to build trust. Right, helping people, as our lessons say. I'm gonna word it a little bit of a different way, but helping people and not expecting anything in return. That is one of those things that that builds authority and trust with people. And when I say that, I don't want to get that confused. That don't mean go around help people for free and don't charge and don't ever try to make any money from it. All that means is just help people, right? Just help people. Answer their questions, provide them solutions. You don't always, you know, there's a lot of times when I thought that I was helping someone, but I was actually trying to market something to them. Like that's a huge one right there. There was a lot of times that I thought I was helping, but in hindsight, when I really dig into it, I'm actually marketing to the individual. Right? So there is a difference in the audience that you're talking to. They can tell when somebody is actually helping them and when somebody is marketing to them. And to me, when your intentions are pure, in addition to the solutions or the advice that you offer works. Oh man, if I got a problem with getting ladies and I click on your YouTube video and you say, here's a surefire method for making sure you get a kiss at the end of your first date. And I tried that method on this first date and it worked. Now you start to get my trust. And now Absolutely. When you say, okay, here's a surefire solution to do this, but it's going to cost you, it's a little bit of money, I'm more than likely to convert to a buyer because I know you already helped me. What you share with me works. And it's like, all right, if I got we talked about this, Majida talked about this, you know, coaching, right? You should be willing to trade a little bit of money to get the knowledge or the experience that you want.
And you know, oh man, and that's a great point because I think in the age that we're in today where information is plentiful, the next, I think most valuable step for any is to be able to be a guide or a reporter or an expert in a special area. And I think that's always been valued. But I think in today's gig economy, for certain, if you have that skill set and you are willing to share it with others, right? Because there's a lot of people who have skills who don't share them, who keep them to themselves, or they only give it to the job and, you know, they never grow it into anything else for themselves, right? So for those who are out there, and I'm certain the people that are listening to us are those who are looking to create something for themselves, is what do you have to offer to share? You know, something my mentor posted earlier today is that we're blessed because of how we give or what we give. All right. And so in today's economy, I think it's extremely valuable to be able to guide and share and help others in ways that, you know, they can't help themselves, or maybe they're not adept at helping themselves. So that's powerful. I appreciate that insight. Majida, you look like you got something burning on the tip of your tongue.
No, Not really.
I'm not reading y'all at all well tonight. I'm usually pretty good reading people. I'm a little off, man. I've been hanging around students too long. That was really just a cue. Like, what's on your mind? What did you feel about
talking? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Majito.
No, go ahead, Maurice.
I was just gonna say, because you were talking just now about the gig economy, right? I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk's book the other day, The Thank You Economy. Not sure if you guys ever heard of it before.
No, I haven't.
But essentially what he's talking about in that economy is because there's so much content, there's so much variety, there's so many sources to go to for the information. He refers to it as a thank you economy, but essentially serving an audience. And you spoke about that a minute ago, right? A particular audience. Pick it again. If you got a book inside of you, right? Pick an audience and start serving that audience. I kind of think we all spoke on that already tonight. Share your whatever stories, whatever experiences you have that are valuable to a particular audience. Like I said, mine started off with just sharing how I passed my CDL test the first time on YouTube. The individuals that were interested in learning how to do that or hearing how to do that gravitated towards the content. And so just thinking about that thank you economy book, the bottom line is how do you separate yourself in a world of plenty? You got to find a way to serve on a deep level, and it is a rare individual that is willing to help with nothing in return. That is one of the most attractive things you can do for yourself, for your business, and for your brand. Be willing to help people with no expectation in return. Again, key word, that is attractive. So we're trying to attract business, not have to always go out looking for business. So just help people, and people will it makes sense that people will be attracted to that. I know I'm attracted to that when I feel that an individual is legitimately trying to help.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate that. For those that are listening or just tuning in, tonight we're having a conversation on what are the best investments to make in 2021 and beyond, right? It may change from year to year, but I think the foundational knowledge that we're sharing, the information that we're sharing, we're giving it away. And so far, what I've personally gotten from, the best investments to make are, well, first in yourself. You got to know what you have of value, Some people I think a lot of people spend time looking outside of themselves for ways to generate or create value, right? That's the idea of like leaving your home to go get a job. It's like, I need to go find somewhere. And that's going to the market. But nowadays we're living in a virtual, interconnected online world where you can be really anywhere and everywhere at all times if you know how to place and position yourself. So for those who have the burning question, man, how do I generate? What do I invest in? You got to start with making the investment in yourself, right? What is it that you do well that others struggle with? That's kind of key number one. Or actually, key one is look at your numbers. What do you have? You got to do inventory at home. Look at your numbers. Look at what do you have around you, and then look inside. What's your skill set? Maurice has touched on the idea of. Dang, it just escaped me. He just touched on the idea of what's happening in the guild economy, and Gary Vaynerchuk. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Gary Vaynerchuk.
The thank you economy.
Gary V.
Yeah, Gary V. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm familiar with Gary V. But the thank you economy, right? Just touched on how people in this world will gravitate. People are attracted to those who are willing to help and serve. And so what is it that the first question I think you have to ask pull out your notebook and say, what is it that I like to serve? What is it, or who do I like to serve? What do I like to give? What do I have of value that others, would appreciate or enjoy?
The echo's throwing you off, huh?
It did for a second. That's all good. That's all good. I think we gotta put some gifts in the basket for everybody on that front. So as we're kind of building that foundation, right? Building the foundation on what your skill set is and what you have to offer. Now that, let's say you're giving away your time, you're giving away, your information, your knowledge, you're guiding people, you're out in the market. What are some ways? I want to take it a step further, right? what are some more concrete ways that you can generate or exchange value with people, right? I'll start with a story. So for me, I realized one thing that I enjoyed was guiding people along a journey. And I didn't realize it until I got into grad school, really. My mother's an educator. And I was a little bit turned off from education growing up because for me, it was like once I got the information in school, I was looking to move on to the next thing. And oftentimes, the school curriculum, it didn't move at my pace. Right, so I didn't really get a customized education, but I got some exposure to some things that maybe I wouldn't have if I wasn't in school. But when I got into graduate school, that was really, I think, the first opportunity I had to pick my own focus of study. And one of the things, though, I had to do, or one of the things that I chose to do in order to help pay for that grad school was I worked in an assistantship. And an assistantship was a teaching assistantship, right? So I was teaching engineering, things that I had learned and was beginning to apply, professionally to new students. And for me, I'm in my mid-20s and I got, 18, 19-year-old students coming in and I'm like, what do I know more than them? And I realized, man, the gaps in growth can be so significant in a short amount of time, right? When you really dedicate and focus and learn something. And so I really enjoyed, I think, guiding students through that process and found out I was really good at it. I found out I was really good at being able to help diagnose the things that people did know and didn't know and be able to fill in the gaps. And that's one thing that I've been focused on is when I see, environment, when I see people, I focus on, all right, what are the gaps in what you want to do? What do you do well and what do you not do well? And how can I help you fill in the gaps? That's where I like to help. And so for me, it took me some time to get back around to it, but realize, man, education is one of those places where I can offer value, right? And being able to guide people through a process, through a curriculum, through a custom plan to help them fill in the specific gaps they need. And that's how I got, drawn back into tutoring. So that was one way that said, man, I can take what I already know when it comes to math, science, engineering, and I'm constantly continuing to grow my subject or grow the subjects right now that I'm tutoring in. But I'm able to generate income because there are people who need help filling in those gaps when it comes to education. So there's tutoring platforms online as well as one-to-one, right? So schools offer it. And so I'm just looking at all the different ways that I can get into, right, just helping to educate, helping to guide people through simple processes, when it comes to math and science and things that for me just came easily or came naturally. Oftentimes I'm sitting in algebra class, teacher showed me something one time and I'm just like, oh, okay, I got it. And then we still had to practice it 3 more times. Right? But I know that, man, that additional practice, oh, okay, well now I can look at it and study it and learn it in 4 different ways. Right? And so knowing those 4 different ways, man, I can help 4 different types of people to learn this information. And that became a passion for me. It's something that I'd love to spend more and more time doing with individuals, is just helping them see what they don't see. And I don't know, I get a kick out of that. But you know what? People will pay me to do that. So that's what I'm doing while teaching.
Good stuff.
How about you, Manjita? What are some things that you see in your own value that you were able to offer to people?
Well, I think kind of back to Maurice's point about being willing to give away, right? Like in the work that I do, like there's no charge, right? Like there's no cost associated with working with me. And so
that's attractive.
I like being able to help people turn the light bulb on, or understand some concepts that they just haven't learned and make it simple enough to where they can apply it. And I'll give you an example. Maybe a couple weeks ago, an existing client referred somebody to us, and we met with her, built some rapport, connected, and fast forward, I recommended a strategy at our second meeting, and then we had a third meeting, and at the third meeting, she came back with like a list of 22 questions, and I was like, shoot, not like shoot, like oh my gosh, but like go ahead, like fire away, right? Fire off those questions, right? Because the questions tell me that one, you're interested, right?
Right.
You just need some clarification, right? You need some clarity on what it is that, you know, you're moving forward. You want to better understand it, right? I'm cool with that, right? That shows me that you're interested. So I don't have no problem with your questions, right? So one by one, she went through the questions, and I was in the car taking my daughter to gymnastics, answering 22 questions. And, you know, but like the questions that I didn't have answers for, or I needed to get more clarification, I was like, let me get back to you. And so at the end of it, I was like, hey, listen, can you just take a screenshot, right, of your questions, send it to me, and that way I can follow up, right? I wasn't able to take notes while she was asking the question. And so she typed them up, emailed it to me. And like, I enjoyed hopping on the phone or hopping online this morning and finding all of the answers to make sure that they were clear, right? I gave them verbally on the, you know, when we spoke, but I was able to like articulate it in written form to reinforce what I said verbally, send it back to her. All right, there's another question that you didn't have on the list, but I remember you asking. I still need to get an answer on that. I'll get back to you on that. You know, so like just adding value, providing value, because I know that the particular strategy that I offered can benefit her. And there's just right, like she don't know me from Adam. Like she was just referred to me as somebody that she trusts. But like back to Maurice's point, right? Like that trust factor. People can transfer trust through a referral, man. Right? And that's so huge.
Big. That's so big.
Yeah, like that's huge, right? Like that makes my job easy, right? You coming to me through a credible source. Now I just have to like not screw up that referral, right? I live up to whatever they sold me. I just need to live up to it. And so, you know, you were talking about adding value or being able to help other people or whatever it is. It's you. Back to what I said earlier. What do you do naturally, right? That I write well, right? Like literally, like I can write, type, however you want to say it. But like I have a way of communicating my thoughts, and I do it better actually on paper than I do like in person, right? Or verbally.
We all do. It's a skill. Okay, well, hey, look, and see, guess what I just learned? Hey, maybe that's one of those areas that I could also be benefiting because I can write better than others, which is true.
But I mean, like, you know, because I know that I write well, and that was, you know, I was excited about what I was able to accomplish in terms of those emails that I sent out, because I was up to like 1:30 this morning. And, you know, like this platform right now, us being visible, online video, whatever, this is not my strength, right? Like this is not what I gravitate toward. This is not my preference for communicating information. I would much rather write it and you read it. Like that would be so much simpler, right? Because I can communicate it in a very clear, concise manner, and you know, bullet points, very right. That's my preference. However, you may never read that if you don't know I exist, if you don't know me, right? So like I do this, you know me. Yeah, let me go read her email now, right? Because now you built some like and trust, or however you want to look at it. And so, you know, but like it really goes, like I said, back to knowing yourself. I know through this whole pandemic crisis, whatever you want to call it, I realized that like I wasn't operating in my strength. Mm-hmm. All right, like not fully. I wasn't fully being authentic. All right, I was doing what was required when the haste was taken out of my day and a lot of the waste was removed. Like I realized, like, I thrive working by myself without distractions, and like I'm so much more productive, right, when I'm not interacting with people. I love y'all, however people distract me. And so I realized that, right, some people are better, you know, getting their thoughts out and, you know, what do you call it, like not expressing them out loud, but
verbalizing? Is that the word you're looking for?
No, it's a term that Bakari uses when
articulating.
Oh, I probably don't.
No.
Go ahead.
Whatever, right? Like some people are better. They have to like express their thoughts out loud.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
She said,
I go inward, right?
External processing.
Yeah. Y'all, right? The external processors, like that drives me insane, right? I love y'all, but like I can't hear because my brain is wired for I need like what do you want me to do, right? When you're just like sharing your thoughts. All right. So like when I'm listening to a client and they're asking me questions, right? The questions are saying that they're curious, they need clarification so that they can move forward, right? So in my mind, they need these questions answered so that they can take the next step.
Right.
But like so knowing that about myself. So how can I put myself in an environment to where I can utilize my strength. I can be most effective and add the most value to people being who I am, right? I think for a long time, I felt like I had to become somebody else in order to be successful. Or I had to no, I can just be the best me I can be. I can maximize my strength and put people around me who can shore up my weaknesses or who have strengths in other areas that I may not have, but they can, right? When I look at people who I respect in successful arenas, right? Like they got a team, right? And I'm thinking about, man, like I'm not branding, right? Like that ain't my deal, right? Videography and editing and all that stuff. Yeah, I can figure all of that stuff out. However, I need peace and quiet and time to do that, right? And at present, my schedule doesn't really allow for that amount of time to invest to do that, so that I can produce something, right? Because at the end of the day, I want to get something out. So I need people around me that can do those things, or I need people around me who can take the other responsibilities that I have, so that frees me up to invest the time to learn to do the things that will allow me to move forward. So just really knowing yourself, like, kind of back to what's the best investment to make. You got to invest in yourself, and knowing who you are and having clarity about who you are and what value you can offer and who you can help you move with much more clarity, right? And much more intention and focus than just, kind of floating around. Well, I'm going to go work this job to make this money, or I'm going to go, pick up this extra job to make ends meet, or to pay the rent. Like, in this day and time, right? What do we say? I had this conversation a couple weeks ago. Like, multiple streams of income is no longer an option or a luxury. It's a necessity, right?
Absolutely.
And so you can take a skill that you have, like Maurice was talking about, skill that you already have, and maximize it, right? Like I do one particular thing in my job, but there's skills that I do have there that I can apply for another
industry, another
right, or
business.
another company, right? Like I can have more than one, not employer. I don't want to use that term. I can be like an independent contractor, doing what I currently do, but doing it for more than one person, and I leverage my efforts. Right, I get more value out of what I'm able to offer. So you got to invest in yourself, like that. That's I think key.
And I think that's a great point. That takes us into the second of the 4 quadrants for cash flow. And you know what? We may not get to all 4 tonight, so you got to come back to the next S.E.A.R Mastermind podcast to get all of them. But we're talking about the left side today. Being an employee, being able to exchange or trade your time for income, or being, as Majida just mentioned, an independent contractor or freelance consultant or self-employed, right? Where you take your own skill set and you take it to the market, right? Now you have all the responsibility is on you, and that's a huge shift. I think that's the biggest shift. You have to invest in yourself in order to make that kind of shift. Most people recognize, man, I'm trying. I thought we was gonna learn about like what stocks and things to invest in tonight. But really, the investment has to start with you, right? You don't start investing in other companies and things like that till you really know what's in your inventory. And I think, like you just pointed out, with whatever skills you have to plant those like seeds and grow them, and all of the different branches that you can grow off of that seed, like maximize it, right? That apple trees don't. Go ahead.
Well, no, like to that point, even when you're talking about making investments in stocks or mutual funds or all that stuff, you have to know what type of investor you are.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I actually had a question tonight from close family friend, and she was asked, I guess she's seen conversations that I've been having with my mentor on Tuesdays, and so she asked me, about cryptocurrency, and I haven't responded yet because I want to make sure that I, provide a clear response. But you can invest in a lot of things, but if you don't know what type of investor you are, you may not get what it is that you want, right? You may not get the result that you want in investing, right?
That's
like
right.
if you're like, all right, I want to make, right, like if your intention is, all right, cryptocurrency sounds good because I hear that it's blowing up, or it's all right, but it's also very volatile, right? It fluctuates, it's up and down. So can you stomach the volatility? All right, can you afford to take the loss, right? Can you afford the
Risk.
the potential risk involved? And
Are
if
you
the
going to
answer
be
is
active
no,
in it, passive in it?
right. And if
That's
the
right.
answer is no, I don't like losing money, I wouldn't suggest investing in cryptocurrency, right? Because you have to ride the wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like, I want conservative, I'm moderate, right? I don't really want to lose no money. I want to always see my account going up. Then I'm gonna recommend a different strategy. So, but it still goes back to knowing who you are, right? So even when I'm giving financial advice or recommendations, I gotta find out who I'm sitting in front of to make sure that the recommendation that I provide is matches that person, right? It's not about me, right? There's a lot of things that you can do with money, but I even know my risk tolerance. I don't like losing money. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can do in finance, but if my risk tolerance says I need my money to be there when I want it, then my investments are going to reflect that, and that should be the same for you. So
Oh,
That's
absolutely,
actually the
man.
same exact reason why I started the trucking community that I just now started,
Talk about it.
because it works the same way in trucking. So people will ask me questions on my YouTube channel sometimes, like uh what's the best company for me to go with? Or what's the best school for me to look at attending? Or I
yeah,
just came out of school. What's a good company that hires people with no experience? And almost 99 times out of 100, their question that they ask is much too vague, just like Majida was just talking about, but they don't know that. And so I'm just getting the hang of it right now. I'm the same way as you, Majida. When somebody asks me a question, especially online, that I don't know the answer to, I want to do some research to make sure that the answer that I give is correct. So a lot of the
mm-hmm.
times people will ask me questions that I don't know the answer to, and my response previously would basically be I don't know, or sometimes I wouldn't respond to them if I didn't know the answer to their question. But now my answer to those questions always start with, well, it depends on your own personal situation. And the individual that I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking to never really quite understand that. They kind of feel like, well, he don't know the answer and he just trying to throw me off. But it is all about specifics, right? Everybody that go to CDL school ain't looking to come out and go over the road. Some people looking to go right into local, or driving a dump truck, or driving a cement truck, right? Some people willing to stay on the road for weeks or maybe months at a time. Some people got to be home every night, right? I guess what I'm saying, just to sum it all up, just be quick about it. People's situation is different in the subject that you was just now talking about, Majida, and also in the subject that I'm dealing with. So I created the community that I created on the platform that I created it on, to give people, truckers that are searching for the information, a way to be able to go right to the specific information that you need in your specific situation that you are in. That's exactly the reason why I created the community. I wanted to create a situation where a person in California is not asking somebody in Virginia how to pass the state DMV test. Like you need to link up with somebody in California to learn how to pass the test in California. If a person is looking to go, I'm local, but I have people asking me about OTR companies. Well, you don't need to be asking a local guy. You need to be asking somebody that's in OTR trucking. So the platform I created is about helping the individual find the right information for them based specifically on where they are. So I'm just kind of piggybacking on what you were saying just now, Majida. It always, like, they ask the question, an ambiguous, vague question, but then it always starts with, well, what are your goals? What's your timeline? What's your risk tolerance? What's your budget like? How long you got to put into this? How much energy and effort do you have to put into this? And once we assess all of that, then I can recommend you a more accurate recommendation. So I definitely get what you're talking about on that.
Oh man, that's powerful, and I just want to do a simple summary from what I'm hearing. You know, Majida is coming from a position where she's shown how, man, you can invest in so many different things, but you need to invest in a profile that matches you, right? That matches you, and one of the ways she does that is she gives away the information, the knowledge, and even consultations, right? You consult for free. Right, and you get paid on the back end when you actually help people with financial solutions, right? Which I think, you know, is ideal, right? Is people want to get in information to find out, man, can you even come up with a plan for me? Because how would somebody feel if they come in and, you know, they spend all of this money, but they don't get a result that actually suits them or works for them, right?
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, I had this other question. So people ask it, man, all right, what's a good investment? Well, I have the question is, one, what do you have to invest, right? Majida talked earlier about running your numbers, but what's a good investment? Since we're talking about in yourself, how much is a good investment in yourself? Like, where do you start? What's a good investment in yourself? How much do you
start with where you are with what you have?
I thought you might say something like that. Start where you are with what you have.
Yeah, because it's back to value. People spend where they see value, right? So some people are willing to invest $5,000 in a coach, whereas other people don't see the value in a $5,000 coach. So they might need to start with
people like that.
With a $27 a month program, you know,
right?
It's, you know, I can afford that, right? You know, but like. And this is I was sharing this a little bit the other night. Part of my challenge, even my emotional spending, a lot of the times is investing in myself. Like, I'll be honest with you, you should have a budget, right? Like I don't have a cap, right? When I see something that could benefit me, whether it's a book right, like I'm like, cause I see value, right? So there's the cost that matter to me, right? I was saying, like, I bought these cards. I'm not even gonna tell you how much the cards cost. I don't even remember, and I don't even but financial literacy cards.
You have yet
right?
You didn't intend to use them, but you wanted to have it.
You saw value, right? Use them.
Okay.
Yeah, I do intend to use them. Yeah, to teach my children financial literacy concepts, right? Like, it's ways for me to communicate information, because it's stuff that I want them to learn, but I don't necessarily. My strength is not creating. My strength is not being an educator, right? Like, that's what you do. So
that's what I do. Send them to me.
You may have the resources to be able to articulate the information that I want to share with them in terms of finance.
Right.
But, like, there are resources out there, right? I bought a game, right? Children love playing games, right? So I bought a game to teach them how to invest in real estate. So the cost is right. The value is so much more important to me. So I invest in value. And I think when people shift, right, when you start looking at what you spend your money on a monthly basis, right? Is it adding value to your life, or is it and even down to the food you eat, right? Is it adding value to your life, or is it taking it away? You know, I did a challenge last year called the 21 Day Essentials Only Challenge. And I told my daughter, like, I ain't buying chips, I ain't buying snacks, I ain't, like, don't even ask. And it was just to see, like, you could take a lot of waste out of your spending to free up money to invest in yourself or in things that are going to bring more value to you, right? Yeah. I can invest in a program or a set of cards that will financially help my children to be better positioned once they get to a place where they're earning income and stuff like that, but they understand banking at 6 versus 36, you know, like there's no
Monopoly didn't quite teach us that, right? We thought it might, right? We thought Monopoly would teach us a little bit about real estate.
Consumption, right? Like that's
all we knew was get hotels, right? You had to get hotels.
Spend money, get money, and spend it, right? Like that's what Monopoly showed me: get money and spend it.
What Monopoly taught me? Well, Monopoly taught me buy all the properties, get as many property because you can't win if you have no property.
Right.
What Monopoly taught me is you need to start off owning property in the ghetto because that's how you come up.
Ah, nice. That's what's up. You're right.
I gotta start off grabbing up Baltic and Mediterranean, bro. That's one of the quickest ways to come up.
Yep.
Oh man,
property gentrification. Never mind. So
that's funny.
No, you know what? It's crazy though because even having that conversation like what to invest in, it's the little things like that stick with us through our lives. But maybe we don't get around to like putting that into practice or putting it into motion, right? And so for those that are listening in, I think it's huge. Like when you're thinking about investing, right? Instead of looking outside of yourself, you got to look inside, right? And for me, I would say like foundation, like are you willing to invest like $10 in yourself, right? And I say $10 because most little books to get access to a little more information than what you just gonna hear on the wire or on the web, you got to pay a little something, right? If you're willing to invest $10 into some information, right? I think Grant Cardone gives his books, give his way. You just pay shipping and handling. Are you willing to pay the shipping and handling just to get some new information, right? To get some exposure. That's an investment in yourself. And I know.
Is that real quick?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. If you wanted to continue, I apologize.
I said, go ahead.
Okay, all right. So, just piggybacking on what you just now said, so I'll let you come back to. I'll be real brief. Somebody just asked me a question the other day, commenting on one of my videos. Do I need to, in order for me to start building business credit, do I actually need to get a domain and a website and a business phone number and all of that good stuff, or can I just get an LLC and an EIN? And I started thinking about exactly what you're talking about right now, Bakar. My answer to him and my response, I was thinking, that's the little stuff. That's the little stuff right there, right? That's so little, and yet it's one of those small things that people that are just throwing it together, they won't do. So when you take the few extra minutes to set those little things up and the few extra dollars to set those things up, it sets you apart just that much. And I found myself saying the same exact thing to him. Go ahead and take the few extra minutes it take to set up the website and the domain and your business phone number and your voicemail and all of that good stuff. It only takes a few minutes to set up, and it's an investment in you. And if you ain't willing to invest a few extra dollars in yourself every month, then like you can't expect your endeavor to really, really go anywhere. You can't get mad when your endeavor don't go anywhere. So we gotta be willing to invest in those little things. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Right. No, to that point though, if you're not willing to invest in you, how you expect other people to?
Absolutely.
Oh,
I was done.
No, that was a perfect interjection, right? Big word of the day, interjection. I'm sorry. I've been doing Sesame Street with students this year. It's crazy. But no, I think that's a great point. That's a great point. Is investing in the little things, right? A book here, and for a business, right? Setting up like you are a business, right? There's so many people who are running their businesses from home, or have all their business stuff going to their home address, and you may have stuff at home, but taking that extra step to set up a PO box, right? In order to have, because again, if I'm a person and I'm looking for a business, I'm going to look for, and we're still, I think, programmed a little bit to look for, that brick and mortar or some traditional sort of location. So you got a PO box. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a legitimate business. I'm not just sending this to, Gary down the street. And so I think,
Go
and
ahead.
that builds that trust. So investing in growing your trust, growing your audience, I think that's a huge point that I think people can recognize is investing in those little things. Go ahead, G.
And I was going to share. I was listening to Secret to Success podcast, and I think the title of it was I can't remember. I think it was episode 250 or episode 249. But they spoke about this very thing, right? When you come to the marketplace and you want to charge people 500, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 for whatever it is that you provide, and people want a discount, right? Or that's too much, right? Or they don't want to pay whatever you want to offer, whatever you want to charge. Well, it's because you haven't shown, you don't have enough proof or evidence that you're worth spending that much, investing that much. You got to have some testimonials. You need to have some referrals, right? And so you have to start off at a stage where you may have to discount up front just to get some evidence that you have $10,000 value, right? You might have to do some discounts to build your reputation. But you also have to take yourself seriously, right? Like E.T. was just like, however pissed off you are at the person who asked for the discount, you need to be more pissed off at yourself because something about you said discount, right? Ooh. So like you got to take yourself seriously and reflect the industry that you're in, right? So like Maurice is in trucking, and so what brand, right? What are people looking for when they look at a trucker, right? And he needs to exude that. He needs to, right? And it's evidence right now that he's got 10,000, 15,000, I don't know how many you at now, 10,000 subscribers.
19,100 as of earlier today.
Let me not shortchange you, right? He's at 19,100 subscribers. So he's got enough evidence to where people are now calling him and asking him to be on their podcast or to promote their whatever, their product or, their school, their service. Because he now has enough evidence that he can get attention, right? He can
move the
bring his audience to them. And so, when they said that, like that resonated with me, but it was, and CJ used the example of, when people wanted to, before they knew who E.T. was, even when E.T. was considered the number one motivational speaker in the world, people still don't know who he is. Like there's still people who don't know who like this dude is, and he's adding so much value in so many different areas. And so he had to start like putting, like I'm working with the NBA, NFL, but get testimonials from the people that he's working with, right? So now people see, and I love the fact that he talked about how he's working at a high level, right? He's working with the 1%. So if you learn from somebody who's working with the 1%, what does that position or how does that position you? But you get to see the model, right? You get to see, all right, we need to have a website. It needs to be professional, right? We need to have the graphic design, right? All of that stuff together. So all of those things were just like, all right, if you want to be taken seriously in your industry or in your profession, you gotta show up as a professional. You gotta show up as worthy of whatever you want to charge, right? So to that point, right, like because I don't charge for my services, right? Like don't don't diminish the value, right?
Oh yeah.
So people may not
good point.
But in my profession, I get to choose who I want to work with, right? I had an option to say, like, I don't think this is gonna be a good fit. Because I want to add value to people. And I don't a lot of times it's the person, they think it's too much. Compared to what? Right? It's being able to have that conversation like, is your family worth it? Are you worth it? Right? Kind of back to the investment in yourself. Are you worth investing in?
Oh, man.
And if you don't see your value, if you don't see your worth, you can't expect other people to, right? So that's why I invest in me, because then I'm able to provide more value. Maurice talked about it earlier. I'm willing to educate and provide information so that people can assess for themselves. Well, I like the idea of not paying taxes long term, or I like the idea of my money not losing money, or my money being able to compound. I like the idea of earning higher interest, right? I'm giving them information so that they can make an informed decision about what to do or how to move forward. But that's the value that I want to offer the marketplace, and people see the value, and then they want to come to me for to take the next step to move forward. All right, I think Maurice mentioned it earlier. Right? Like I don't want to chase people. Hey, come work with me, right? Like to convince somebody that they need to work with me. No, I need to show them that it's worth working with me, and you do that through how you show up and the value you provide and how you carry yourself or present yourself. And of course, you know, social media has given us various platforms to be able to offer that value. And that's when, like, I had to get out of my own way. He's had his trucking channel now for 5 years. I've been on social media for like a year now, right? And I'm still learning a lot of things, but it's worth making the investment in myself to learn it, get out of my own way, get out of, right? I have value that can benefit other people. And it's selfish not to share it, right? Like that's kind of the way that I perceive it. So whatever I got to learn so that I can add that value or provide that information to people, that's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to make those investments in the software, and the programs, and the coaches, so that I can show up and be visible for people to say, yes, I can use your help. Yes, I want to work with you. Yes, I see value. When can we get together? Right. So,
and let me just say one more thing in regards to that. Everything that Majida just now laid out, if you hear that and you said, man, I don't think I need to do all that, that sounds like a lot, because you can wing it. Here is what I will add to that. You absolutely need to be willing to do all of that, to invest in all of that, to set all of that up, to pay your dues, because your competition is. Ooh. Right. So people will say to me sometimes, well, why do I need to be on social media? Hypothetically, when we're talking about that subject, and I'm like, because your competition is on social media. And they're like, I ain't never thought about that before. It's like, yeah. Like your customer is on social media watching your competition, but you trying to get their business, right? So you need to be willing to do all of those things because your competition is willing to do all of those things. And you already know it is whatever niche, whatever industry, whatever business you're trying to start, it's already saturated. It's already flooded. Mm-hmm. So how do you set yourself apart if you ain't willing to do those little things, right? You have to be willing to do those little things because there is somebody else in your industry that's willing to do those little things. And if it's you and that person sitting side by side, the customer's going to pick them every single time because they are the ones that show up, and they are the ones that offer the most value. They are the ones that sow the most seeds into the industry.
Yeah, but they know them too, right? Yep. Like because they're visible, people they get to know them. Right? They don't know you if you don't show up. And because your audience is online, like that's where you got to be, right? That's something I had to learn.
Absolutely, so, because your audience is looking to work with somebody knowledgeable and sharp. If you wanna get that business, you got to be knowledgeable and sharp. I think you got to work on yourself. You got to invest in yourself, and you got to be willing to do all of that stuff that you just now laid out, Majida.
I think that's a huge point, and because the question that was on my mind was like, well, what's a lot of people ask, well, what is the return, that I'm going to get on my investment? And I think that's a huge point. Is you get to compete in the market because I can't think of any invisible businesses that are successful, right? And I'm not talking about the businesses that I don't know personally, right? I'm talking about businesses that have grown, that are household. There's a reason that these businesses are household names, is because their visibility, right? Visibility is key. You are not going to grow into and get everything that you want being invisible to the world. And I think that's something that I still personally struggle with. Like I want to be, like king of the background. You know what I'm saying? and it's like I enjoy being the guide and being all along the journey. But at the end of the day, I know me personally, right? I want to be able to hand people off to continue their journey in whatever direction they're going, because I know which way I'm going, right? And everybody's not going to be there on the journey with me. So I'm excited to hand people off on the journey. And something just occurred to me. Maybe what I've been doing was blocking all of those people who are coming the way that I'm going, right? is that I got to open myself up to be around more people who are going the way that I'm going. And I think that's what's leading me into education and coaching. I did 2 years teaching, just going back to tell a story. And I realized, like, by the end of the first semester I was teaching, I felt like I wanted to have a whole army of engineers that came through my classroom because nobody was going to teach them the way that I taught them. Right. And I still get messages every so often from students, previous students that I have, who like, you know, Mr. Bay, I never had a classroom experience like yours. Right. And so for me, it's like I'm chasing that high again. I'm like, how do I put myself back into that environment where I know people are showing up and they're expecting A, but they're getting a much greater experience than even what they expect out of it. Not only did they learn, but they learned about themselves, and like they were with somebody who cared about them. Right. So yeah, you got to show up, right? You got to show up. I'm working on creating my classroom so that I got people who are showing up to go along on this journey with me. Right now, I'm solo dolo or maybe growing right now with the S.E.A.R mastermind group, right? And I actually, for sure, I think I found 2 people that I've known for a long time, but figure out, you know what, we're going the same way. We may be in different areas, but we're all going the same way, and so we can work together as a team, as a community, in order to grow our values individually, but also collectively. And so that's another thing Majida pointed out, was having a team, right? Find the people who do the things that you don't do well, right? And get around them, right? Even if you can learn just a little bit, it can help to create your increase your visibility. It can help you to grow your skill sets. It can help you to just become a better version of you that you can feel more confident going into the market with, right? Because if you never show up in the market, I promise you, you're never going to get paid. You're never going to get paid, right? You can show up and you can look at the market all day long, right? But if you don't take that extra step, right? I just looked up, there's like over 300 million users on Twitter, right? And you know what? If you never showed up on Twitter or on social media, guess what? You're missing out on that market. If you never show up, you're missing out on that market. So you got to come up with a plan to show up. Where do you want to show up? How do you want to show up? What are you willing to invest to show up? Right? And starting with the little things. What are the little things that you're willing to invest to show up? Right? Is it $10 on a book here? Right? What are the things that you can do to enhance or improve or increase your value with what you already do well or better than others around you? All right, I see Maurice taking some notes. I'm sorry, I'm on a tirade right now. about to give them the sermon. But no, I'm really have enjoyed the conversation with you guys tonight. We're pushing 90 minutes, and I like to respect people's time. You know, thanks for everybody who's been here. I'm not shutting it down yet, but I'm just feeling like, man, it's been a great conversation tonight about what to invest, man. And I know we're going to have to come back to this in 2021. Guys, 2021. Wow. This won't be the last conversation we have about investing in yourself, how to invest in yourself, what to invest in yourself, and what return. I think I want to talk about like what to expect in return on investing in yourself. Can we talk about that next time? All right, so that's your teaser. Next time, we will talk about the ROI, the return on your investments in yourself, right?
And just now you talked about community, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, we're gonna end up getting into that eventually a little bit more. Y'all, tell me if you like my tagline for my community.
Let's talk.
My tagline is community is powerful, and this is community with a purpose.
I'm in. You sold me.
I was waiting for somebody to be like, "Ooh, that's good."
You know what? You know what went to my mind? 3 letters. IBM. Right? If you're creating that feeling of like one of those big companies, I just thought IBM. Say it again. I want to hear it one more time. Community is powerful.
Community is powerful, and this is community with a purpose.
Oh man, like just show me the door. Sign me up. Where are we going? What are we doing?
I just translated that to powerful purpose.
Okay.
Ooh, we have a powerful purpose. No, that's good marketing.
Well,
that's good marketing.
Community is powerful, and this is community with a purpose. So, power with a purpose. Is it powerful purpose?
I just want to throw that out. We was talking
all
about
I'm hearing is
people. Throw that out.
What I'm hearing is people are attracted to power, purpose, and community, and you're offering all of that. So seems like a great community that you're going to have. A very powerful, purposeful community.
Absolutely.
Outstanding, man. Outstanding. So, listen, you know what? Thanks for everybody who's tuning in, whether you're a first-time listener, whether you're a future listener, whether you've been listening, hanging with us since 2020 when we first started, man. We're happy to have you here. This is Bakar Obey, your MC and mastermind coach for the S.E.A.R Mastermind Group, here with co-founders Maurice Bay and Majida Bay. Yes, we are real family members. Majida, a blood sister, and Maurice, a brother-in-law. And we're just doing it together here for creative entrepreneurs like ourselves, providing support, accountability, encouragement, as well as recognition. You get that more so in our mastermind meetups, which we have right now every other Sunday. All right, so you can go to the S.E.A.R Mastermind Group on Facebook. We're starting our YouTube page, so you'll be looking for more content in the future there. Why? Because that's where our competition is. So look to the YouTube page right now for more of the podcast and more other information on how to grow yourself, how to grow your business, and how to be a part of a community. You know, we invite you to come in, listen to our mastermind sessions. You know, we've got some interactive tools that you can use just to keep track, you know, keep some accountability. And we're looking to grow that also into a community as well. So once again,
we are a work in progress. Absolutely. Join us and come along with us.
Hey, we say our story, our journey, our way, right? Y'all are along the journey because we've been here now in a year together. So we're just documenting the journey, as they say. That's what you're supposed to do on social media, apparently. Right? Like, document the journey. So I definitely think, you know, we'll look back at this 5 years from now. Children will be running the podcast. We'll be doing something else, you know, or growing in other ways. So I'm just excited about the journey and who we're becoming in the process, right? Like, I wasn't this person a year ago. Yeah.
And I don't think any of us intend to keep showing up the same on these podcasts, right? So that's a big deal. So I'm looking forward to, like, just being here with you, just looking at the time lapse and like where we are, what we're doing, you know, and the different moves that we're making.
Our first podcast.
I don't know if enough time has passed since the first podcast, but we can definitely take a look.
Just be curious. But.
Oh yeah, so that definitely tune in. So once again, this is S.E.A.R Mastermind Group with Maurice, Majida, and your MC, Bakar Bay. And you know what? We'll see you in 2 weeks when we'll be talking about the ROI. We're going to talk about your return on investment. What should you expect in return on what you invest? All right. And not everything is an investment. So look out for that nugget when we get there.
Absolutely. All right, y'all.